Hello, and welcome to InSource Solutions Experts on Tap. My name is Joseph Hefner, and I'm the Technical Support Manager here at InSource, and I'll be hosting your session today. Today, we're going to focus on OPC Unified Architecture, or UA for short. Specifically, we're going to be looking at utilizing InTouch HMI as an OPC UA server. We're also going to be looking at utilizing an application server or system platform Galaxy as an OPC UA server, and utilizing OI Gateway as an OPC UA client. Let's get started. One of the big advantages to utilizing OPC UA is its platform independence. You can speak across multiple operating systems, pieces of software, or hardware seamlessly. Another big advantage of OPC UA is its security. OPC UA utilizes X509 certificates, which means that you can be sure you're talking securely to other platforms or PCs. This is much cleaner than the OPC DA approach, which utilizes DCOM and can get very messy. Let's take a look at InTouch HMI as an OPC UA server. So the first step to set up UA for InTouch HMI is to launch the application manager. Once it's open, you can click on the OPC UA link and enable OPC UA. This will create an endpoint that you can connect into the server from, let you specify your port, and configure whether or not you want to have security, allow anonymous users, and allow writebacks to this OPC UA server. You can also access the help file, which will give you more information about setting up OPC UA. Another way to get into this security configuration is from the Tools menu under OPC UA's configuration. Once you have that done, you can open the InTouch Window Viewer. And once Window Viewer becomes open, the OPC UA server will be active. So now let's look at connecting in. So for today's demonstration, I'm going to utilize Matricon OPC UA Explorer. The first thing I'll do is add a new server. For the host name, I'm just going to use localhost because it's local on my machine. For the port, I will specify 48032, which is the port that I specified in the configuration, and I'll connect. So now I'll go to the basic 256 security, sign and encrypt. I'll click connect, and you'll see that I get a warning in the configuration telling me that my certificate was rejected. Aviva makes it very easy to look up rejected certificates. We can do that by browsing to C, Program Data, Aviva, PCS, OPCA Rejected Client Certificates, certs. Once we've identified the rejected certificate, we can right-click on it and do Install Certificate. If we choose Local Machine and then place all certificates in the following store and choose the Trusted People store and then click Next and then Finish, our certificate will be imported. Now we can close this window and try to connect again. This time we were successful. Now we can browse our objects on the OPC UA server. We can see there's a server section. For today's purposes, we're going to utilize the InTouch Alarm Group section. So the $System Alarm Group is the main parent alarm group. Inside of there we have a conveyor. We're going to add some objects from the conveyor alarm group. These are InTouch tags. And we'll do the same thing with the reactor alarm group. We'll add some of those tags to the watch list as well. You'll notice as soon as the items are getting added, the values are updating. They're coming in with good quality. This lets us know that we have a good connection. So now let's take a look at using an application server galaxy for an OPC UA server. First, let's look at the model view, and we'll see that we have an area named water with an object named sector underneath it. When we go into Object Viewer, we'll see that we have some attributes on that object named Valve 1, Valve 2, and Flow Level. These objects are functioning because we can see them updating in our Object Viewer. Now we'll go on the Galaxy menu to configure Orchestra services. From inside of here, we'll see the OPC UA service, and I'll create a new instance of that. Once I have that instance created, I can click on it, and the configuration will look pretty similar to the InTouch one we looked at. The default port for this one is 48031. We also have endpoints, the ability to turn on or off configuration, security configuration, anonymous users, write back, and we have access to the help file, just like within InTouch. Once we have our instance created, we can click on the check mark beside the node we want to deploy it to and click Update. Next, we can go to the Nodes tab, drill down to the node that we want the instance deployed on, right-click on it, and do Deploy. At this point, we have a functioning OPC UA server into the Galaxy as well. Now I'll open up the Matricon Explorer again, and we'll take a look at creating a second connection. Again, I'll do Add New Server. I'll type in localhost for my node name. The port is going to be 48031 this time. And I'll do a search. I'll open up the server and go to the basic 256. I'll enter an account and password. And a connect. Again, I failed with a certification. So let's go to that same location. We'll go to Program Data, Aviva, PCS, Rejected Certificates, Certs. And I'm looking for a new certificate rejection. This time I don't see one. So I did a refresh to make sure that it wasn't just late coming. I still don't see one. I'm going to do one more check. There's nothing here, so that tells me that it didn't make it to this point, or it didn't get rejected at this point. So let's go back and take a look at my configuration again. Everything looks good here, so I'm going to try another connect. This time it connected, so that tells me that it was most likely the password that was entered incorrectly. Now I can browse my objects on the OPC UA server. The model view inside of here will mimic the model view inside of the Galaxy. So if I open up the model view, I'll see my Galaxy name. I'll see the water area. And then I'll see the sector object. Inside of there, I'll see my attributes. So I'll select the Valve 1 and Valve 2 attributes. And I'm going to add those to the watch. And I'll also add flow level. So you'll see the values are coming in with good quality. We see updating values, so that tells us that we have a good connection into the UA server. So now let's take a look at utilizing OI Gateway as an OPC UA client. In this example, I'm going to connect into a third-party OPC server. So the way I'll do that is open up the OI Gateway. And I'll create a new OPC UA configuration connection. I'm just going to call this one OPC UA 1. And I can paste the endpoint of my server in for the OPC server. I'm going to choose none for security in this instance, test my connection, and I see my namespaces here, so that means I made a good connection. So now I can right-click on that and add a group connection. I'm going to call this one Boiler. I'm going to browse the OPC UA server. I'm going to drill down and select an output from the drum. I'll add that to the list, and I'll also select an output from the pipe, and I'll add that to the list. Once they're added there, they'll show up in my device item list. I can copy the attribute from here, and I'm going to go ahead and activate my server. Now to test this connection, I'm going to use WW Client, which is just a communication client tool that we use to test connections to OI servers. So for the topic here, I'm going to choose OPC UA 1_boiler. I've got a good connection. You can see because the number's not all 0. I'm going to go on the item, and I'm going to paste that item in there, do an advise EX. You can see I have good quality. So now I'm going to grab the other item. I'm going to copy that, open up the WW client, paste that one in there. And you can see I also have a good connection to that item. So now I'm going to create another connection. So I'll go back to the System Management Console. I'm going to right-click on Configuration, and I'm going to add another OPC UA connection. And we'll call this one OPC UA 2. So if I don't remember my endpoint, I can always go back to my InTouch Application Manager, and I can grab the endpoint from there. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and uncheck security. So my endpoint is just 48032. Let me relaunch Window Viewer so that I can connect in. In the SMC, I'm going to type in opc.tcp:// the node name, in this case, is just localhost, :48032. I'll turn security off and make sure Window Viewer is running, test my connection, and I can see the available namespaces, so we are connected. So I'll save that, and I'll add a group connection. I'm just going to call this InTouch. So when I browse my UA server, I can expand the list. I'll see the server. I'll see InTouch alarm group just like we did when we connected from the Matricon. I'm going to choose $2, and I forgot to add it to the list, so that means it's not going to show up in the device item list. So I can go back and browse again and select the $2, add it to the list. Now when I go back to device items, it will be in here. Device items are not required to read data, but they do make it very useful if you need to browse your server. So now I'm going to create the connection in WW Client. This topic is just going to be OPC UA 2_InTouch. And we'll create, hit done, and then go on the item menu, choose the second connection, and I can paste in the value. You'll notice that I'm not getting good quality on this one. I get a 04 instead of a C0. That's because the name of my tag was too long. So what I can do in this instance is I can utilize the alias3 alias name or namespace and just do alias3.myIntouchTagName.value. So in this case, it's going to be alias3.$2.value. When I did that, you can see that I do have a good value. So now, if I wanted to add some tags that I don't have in my device item list, I could do that also. So I'll add React level, and I can also add prod level. You'll see they work perfectly well, even without being in the device item list. So now I'll add one more connection. So I'll go back into the System Management Console, and I'm going to add one more OPC UA connection. And I can call this one OPC UA 3. And I'll go back into my Galaxy to remember my endpoint. So go to Configure Orchestra Services. I'll browse to my instance. And I'll see that it's the same node name, :48031. So we'll go back into my System Management Console, type in opc.tcp: //localhost: :48031. I'll choose none for security again, and anonymous user allowed. Test my connection, and we've got a good connection. We see our namespaces there. So I'll save that, right-click on the connection, create a new connection group, and we'll just call this one Galaxy. Browse my OPC UA servers, and I'll look at the model view here. Underneath my Galaxy, I'll see the list of my areas. So in this case, I have the area called water. Underneath water, I have my attribute called sector. Let me try that again. Third time's a charm. So I find this browser can be slow at times. So we'll choose sector. And now we're able to see the list of available attributes. So I'm going to choose valve 1 and valve 2, and I'm going to add those to the list. I'll also grab flow level and put it to the list as well. Click OK. Those will show up in my device item list now. So let me copy that, and we'll go to www client again. We're going to do a new connection. We'll call this topic OPC UA 3_Galaxy to match my configuration. Create. Connection was good. It's not all zeros. On the item list, I'll choose the third connection, and I'll paste in my attribute. We can see valve 1 is coming in with a good value. So now I can change that to a 2 and read valve 2. I can also try to read flow level. I suspect it's going to be too long, but let's give it a try. So www client does limit the number of characters. That's not going to affect most of your clients, but it's just one that affects this tool. So if I wanted to, I could give it an alias name with a shorter name, and I can access it from within www client, but that's not necessary for this demo. So in today's session, we've looked at utilizing InTouch HMI as an OPC UA server. We've looked at utilizing Application Server or System Platform Galaxies as an OPC UA server. And we've looked at OI Gateway as an OPC UA client. Thank you very much for your time and attention on this session. And if you do have any questions, feel free to email me. My email address is right here. It's jhefner@insourcess.com. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.